It's not dead. But if we don't take really firm action, it will be.
This government would have you believe you're poisoning the reef with your fertiliser and your water runoff. And I say that's bullshit.
So UNESCO is going to be looking very carefully at the actions that we take.
Judgment Day is looming for Australia's management of the Great Barrier Reef. The Australian government is due to submit its 5-year report to UNESCO by the end of this month, keen to avoid any threat of the reef being listed as in danger. And there's been plenty of bad news since 2015.
It's been a very turbulent 5 years for the reef. There were back-to-back bleaching events, particularly severe in the far northern sector of the reef.
According to the latest Outlook report, sort of overall, it's gone from poor to very poor, so it's trending in the wrong direction.
The reef scientists 730 spoke to all agree that avoiding more coral bleaching events caused by high water temperatures was the critical factor. But it's not the only one.
So there really is, in my view, no debate that climate change is the number one long-term threat. That is a statement that's embraced by government. But at the same time, we have very clear evidence that local interventions, managing outbreaks of starfish, water quality interventions, have a very important role at building that local resilience.
The federal government's own data shows Australia has failed to meet the water quality targets it set and presented to the World Heritage Committee 5 years ago. The reduction in nitrogen runoff didn't even get halfway to the original 2018 target, while attempts to reduce fine sediment pollution also fell short. And the original plan to have 90% of sugarcane growers and graziers achieve what authorities determined was the best farming practice by 2018 also failed.
I suppose the lack of uptake of best management practices has been disappointing. I think we all hoped that that would happen.
I think we're learning that this is a really difficult problem to deal with.
We headed north to sit today. Scrap these laws, let us have our say.
One of the difficulties is the increasing conflict between agricultural groups and the Queensland government over strict new runoff laws, with some industry leaders even questioning the science. The Great Barrier Reef Foundation's chief scientist, Professor Peter Mundy, says there's long been a strong link between water quality and coral health.
We know from a variety of studies all over the world and from lab studies that increased sediments, increased nutrients have a negative effect on corals. Corals can't develop a new reef unless they can find a sedimentary-free patch of rock to grow on. When the recovery of the reef slows down, as it does from time to time, that's associated with years when there is more runoff along the coast of Queensland.
It's not all bad news for the reef. Parts of the north are recovering from the 2016 mass bleaching event, and some local programs have been working well.
We now have access to information that can help us prioritise and target things like controlling crown of thorn starfish outbreaks much more effectively than we could in the past.
I think where we've progressed here is that we've started to invest serious amounts of funding in trying to find the solutions.
Looking forward to the next 5 years, the main issue again will be one that's all too familiar.
Well, the state of the reef in 5 years' time, I think, very much depends on whether we have another bleaching event, and no one can predict that.
So if we can keep our water quality good and have a good 10, 15 years between bleaching events, then we've got every chance of good recovery.
But that recovery may not be a return to the reef of old.
I think what we're going to see in 5 years' time is that we will have less coral than we have today.
The World Heritage Committee will be considering the federal government's report in the new year. Australia has invested hundreds of millions of dollars to protect the reef, but the results, particularly in water quality, are still a work in progress.
And it's something that won't be fixed overnight. But what we do need is a resolve of politicians of all shapes and sizes to be persistent on this problem because it really is a threat to the Great Barrier Reef.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.